A few things that we do in France. I work for ICF, which is Immobilier de Chemin de Fer, with a real estate housing company of the railways. And we've got 100,000 units all over France. We've basically got five subsidiaries. So they're the operational housing companies. I work for the holding company. So our headquarters are in Paris. You got a few figures about the company, and just for the story, we accommodate 40% of our tenants are railway employees, which is a specific system in France. So this is about what we do. Just to explain, I'm going to tell you a bit about an energy efficiency strategy in housing. So what is our strategy with the housing stock that we have? And then I will go to explain the financial approach that we have to investment and other costs in energy savings and energy performance. And I will finish with energy performance contracting. So the challenge for us is quite simple. We have an average energy consumption for heating and domestic hot water, which is 218 kilowatt hours per square meter. That's slightly above the average in French housing. Yeah, I didn't mention, but we have 80% of social housing, 20% of private housing. So it's slightly above the average because we have a bit older of a housing stock. That's 350,000 tons of CO2 equivalent per year, and that's 0.06% of the French greenhouse gas emissions, which actually is quite a lot for a housing company. We're the third biggest housing company in France at the moment. I think has been made clear that, and Jean explained that pretty well this morning, that there's a very strong political pressure at the moment, especially in social housing, because we're a private company with general interest missions, so we have to comply basically with public policies and show that we're doing well. So there's a very strong political pressure on us, and there's also a strong economic pressure, which I will explain later, as well as social pressure coming from our tenants who can pay their energy bills more and more. So the major challenges for us are basically our corporate social responsibility, showing that we are being responsible. They're also to guarantee that our housing stock remains attractive in the coming 20 years. So all the investments that we are doing have to tend towards reducing vacancy and non-payment of the rents. That's basics in housing market. And also anticipating regulations and market needs, because we know that we have two markets, basically. We have our tenants, low-income households, and we have local authorities and national authorities who actually grant land for us to build. And they will grant also subsidies. So we have to comply and to anticipate their needs. So those are the challenges for us. So currently our energy strategy is on two aspects. The first one is new build. Since 2007, which was at the same time as the Grenelle de l'Environnement, we are implementing the so-called BBC, which is low energy building standard, which will be the 2012 regulation. So we are now enforcing that on each new project. The first, because it takes a bit of time to build, we are delivering the first houses right now. So it has taken already 3 years. So that's for single houses. For multi-family houses, we are at 20% under legal standards. That's the minimum, and actually, at the moment, all the investments that we are doing are already at the low energy standard. And that's because also that's the way to get the land to build, because there's a strong pressure from local authorities. And I would say that most important of this is refurbishment. We build about, well, we have about 1,500 new houses every year. Part of this is new buildings, and part of this is purchasing existing buildings, which are not in the new build demands. Refurbishments, we refurbish about 2.5 to 3% of our housing stock every year. And what we actually want for now for all refurbishment is to attain 130 kilowatt hours per square meter, which represents 40 to 70% of energy savings on each investment. And this is quite a lot. And I will show you this a bit later. And just to show, we're not just working on energy, because I think it would not make a lot of sense to just work on energy and forget about water, waste, and comfort, and so on. So we're also applying environmental certifications, which are the same type as the BREEAM label in the UK, on all construction and refurbishment projects also. Just to explain, this is where we are at the moment, somewhere around 218 kilowatt hours per square meter. The French system actually focuses really on energy and not so much on carbon, which is a very strong difference with the UK. So this is kilowatt hours in primary energy. And we want to get 2050 at 75% reduction, which would be a factor of 4, corresponding to the Kyoto Protocol and so on. Now, if we look at from 2007 to 2020, the blue line you have here is factor 4, and the red line would be just following the business as usual, which means enforcing the regulations on new build, pretty much, and the very, very little regulation that we have on retrofits. If we have an active policy on new build, this leads to very small amount of energy savings by 2020. Now, if we work on retrofit, on refurbishments, as you've seen, we deal with 3% a year of our housing stock, and this is the most energy consuming. So by introducing in all the investments that we do every year, energy saving measures, we can achieve much more. And the green line that you have here is actually the addition of working in new build and working on energy retrofit, on refurbishment projects. So this is the policy that we have at the moment for ICF. And we are also, we're in the process of actually simulating, and we're launching a big study with thermal engineers to define for each type of houses that we have, because we have houses all over France from different periods, different shapes, different types of architecture. So we are going to define basic scenarios of energy retrofit for each of them in order to be able to define financing, to actually plan the fundings for all this.